Greetings from sunny Oregon. It's about 107 degrees out today. It's been over 100 all week. Welcome to Left Hand Motors. I'm Nick James.
Welcome to Season 2 of Left Hand Motors. This week we team up with X's Chopper Blog out of Laramie, Wyoming. I'm going to teach you everything I know about repairing plastic. I'm not just talking about glue. I'm talking about welding. I'm talking about being your own 3D printer. I'm talking about techniques you can use on your bumper, on your panels, on your car doors, your dashboard, your broken skid plate, your broken fan shroud, plastic under the hood. These techniques are going to serve you great. You're going to want to pay attention to this one. Let's get started. Looks like Nick's going to start out today by taking the dullest pair of scissors he could find rusting out in a puddle behind the shop, and he's going to use those to open up these boxes. This might take a minute. I'm going to go ahead and speed him up. Ooh. That goes there. Check for treasure. If you pay attention and you're real careful about where that other scissor blade is in your hand while you're flailing around with a pair of scissors like that, you'll know where it's going to cut you.
Smells like Wyoming down in here. Oh yeah, that's Wyoming dirt right there. I can tell you that anywhere. A little bit of magnesium chloride off the road, a little sand, a little oil. Smells like home. Well, it's a beautiful sunny morning here in Portland. It's supposed to be over 100 degrees a day, so I'm going to try to get an early start on this thing, see how far we can get. It's Sunday, so I don't have a whole lot of stuff going on. This is the interference. I have some speakers here, a couple of gauges, maybe fuel gauge, all the toys on these fun ones, man. Alright, so, start here. I've done a couple of test swatches on this with all my glues. I tried ABS cement. It did not touch it. I tried PVC cement. It didn't touch it. That means that this plastic, I could hit it with super glue if I wanted to do a little bit of repair work, but we got pieces missing. You see this piece here is gone. So what I decided we should do to do it right is we're going to weld it. And anybody that's a welder knows the first step in welding is you clean everything up. So we're going to degrease this, get it absolutely spotless. If we're going to glue it, that'd be first step too. No matter what you do, when you're working with plastics, clean it, clean it, clean it. Think of it like you're TIG welding. This thing needs to have no oil on it, no loose paint, no Bondo. This thing needs to just be the plastic, okay? Don't skip that step. It's important.
Oh, whoa, hey there, go easy on the...
You want to do this in a well-ventilated area. Nothing we're going to do today smells good. I've got doors open, fans blowing. We're trying to keep it oxygenated in the I need more ventilation. Okay, this thing's all clean. It's had a minute to dry. So the next step is we need to get it back to its original shape. We have a little bit of deforming over here where the plastic is not sitting. I don't know if you can catch it on camera.
No, we caught that. All that.
The plastic's not sitting where it needs to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load this in the direction that it was hit the last time and just kind of like open it up just like it was, and then I'm going to let it relax to where it's supposed to go again and hopefully get this to go where it is without doing any more damage. So we cross our fingers. And there she popped right up the flush. That's real nice. I can deal with that. Cool. So now, hopefully, as I add missing pieces over here, this is going to turn back into the original shape. Before I invent a new piece for here, I'll probably put the outside cover on it to hold everyone real rigid. That way it's going to fit. So, we're going to start at the bottom of this crack, work our way up it, try to get this thing back to where it's supposed to live. This is all clean. My next step is I'm going to actually open this crack up a little bit at a 45-degree chamfer, just so I have more bite to the panels together. If I butt weld them, it's just like working with steel. If you do a butt weld on the surface here and then you sand your weld down to flat, you're not going to have any weld left, and you're not going to have a real adhesion. So what I'm going to do is cut my bevels in here just like I was welding big thick plates of steel together, and then we'll go from there.
Learning as we're going here, it turns out if you tack everything in place before you cut your chamfer, you can save yourself a lot of time and headache. You're going to watch me just sit here and try to keep stuff aligned while I grind and fight with it, and try to pick like the plastic burr. It rolls the melted plastic from the grinder back out of my crack. All sorts of problems that you can just avoid if you tack your panels in place before you start grinding. We learned that after this first one, and on all the other panels you'll see me tack them first. In the interest of speeding things up, we're gonna try some picture-in-picture action, so let me just call for some help and get this project speeded up.
Alright, this is the part where we get out the fancy equipment. We got my weld or soldering iron and some Dorman zip ties or filler rods. Now this is where it gets a little different from real welding. You want to put all your heat in your filler rod rather than in your material. The more heat you put in this, more warpage, just like any other weld, you're going to warp this thing. So you start your puddle like a weld, put your heat in your rod.
And this is where we realized that we needed to tack everything together first, and I'm explaining the same thing up in the top right corner as I am about to explain in the main video.
And my panels kind of started to float and lose alignment this kind of way, like one panel, instead of laying flat, they're kind of laying like this. And so what I'm going to do is, just like TIG welding, without using the rod, I'm going to tack my base materials together, and then I'll go back in and I'll fill it when I'm done. Pretty much everything I'm going to use right here. Got a soldering iron, Dremel, sander, and some Dorman zip ties. This is going to be my filler rod. It's nylon. I have no identifier on this plastic, but I melted nylon to it. I know it'll stick. I've used zip ties on all kinds of stuff. It works really good.
I'm going to try to show you the first one all tacked here inside the chamfer. We'll get some better examples as we go along.
Nothing too fancy, huh? But I can tell you right now, I've skipped a step. Let's go back and correct that and add 2 more things to your list of stuff you need. Those being brake cleaner and engine parts degreaser.
Well, this picture-in-picture is kind of fun, but that much brake cleaner could only mean one thing. It's time for Adventures with Nick, this time in Kaleidoscope Vision. Ha! This ought to speed things up a little bit. Now you guys pay real close attention. Well, it looks like this week on Adventures with Nick, we're going to learn how to make some speaker covers on the center screen there. As you can see, he's got himself a little block of wood. It's a hatchet, safety first, and we're going to tap us out some speaker covers, as you can plainly hear. And from the bottom left corner, looks like I'm going to have a real nice example of what the stitching looks like before you start filling with rod, just tacking your panels together. That turned out pretty good. That is a chamfer, of course, filled with my little cornrows of melted plastic going back and forth. And that's really all I'm doing on 3 out of the 4 background screens. And the 4th one, I am sanding my own paint jobs. I am a terrible painter, which means I'm a pretty good sander. The trick I can tell you is put your paint on thick enough that you can get it flat without sanding through all your paint. Works pretty good for me. And I am dry sanding, which means I am using 220 grit. Looks like those speaker covers are getting a pretty decent fitment started, so that's probably about time for something to go wrong somewhere.
Always good to double check your work. Strong enough to take that hit now. And look at Nick go. He's got himself a set of speaker covers ready to rock and or roll. So let's move on in the other 4 screens with our project after he cleans up after himself. Cleaning is a very important step. Don't skip that. On the left side of the screen there, I'm just starting to sand and clean up, but I've got both of the big cracks in the fairing sealed up. Next, I've got to put my little tiny chunk of the corner of the speaker area into the inner fairing and invent a new piece for the outer fairing. So we're about to learn us a new technique right after I glue this little corner back in place. Simple enough, huh? And look at him go. Nick is wet sanding in the top right. That means we are using 500 grit. Next, we'll step it up to 1,000, then 1,500, and finally finish with 2,000 grit sandpaper, just erasing scratches from the lower grits as we go.
What I did is this seam here all lined up real good, so I just stitched it, and I'm going to grind this one first, and hopefully when I get done putting my chamfer on this side, it'll lay better. Then I'll weld this side first, and then I'll go back here and put a chamfer maybe on this edge, weld it up, then this one.
And Nick is giving me the thumbs up from the bottom left corner, which means he's ready to teach us how to invent a new piece of fairing.
That one's next.
We're going to mock together the inner and outer halves and get everything lined up. That way I know where the edge needs to be and we make everything look pretty.
So if you look at her now, she's real close. You can barely get your fingernail in there.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's good enough for us.
And from the bottom left, I've got a hold of one of the little screw pedestals, and I'm just kind of tacking it back to the outer fairing from the inner fairing on which it was still screwed in and chipped loose, so that I kind of have everything put back as close to original as I can get it to sit. That attached, we're going to spin it around, and I'm going to use a big giant zip tie and make a profile of the outside shape. That worked really well, and that big zip tie saved me a lot of time on the outside. Next, I'm going to start just taping the inside and outside fairing together and getting everything sitting as tight and as close as possible to where it needs to be. That way I can save myself sanding time later. And as I finish taping up down in the bottom, in the top left, Nick is finished with the little chip he's been installing and about to show us the piece that's still missing out of the inner fairing. And then as soon as he gets done showing us that, Nick is also from the bottom left corner going to start building that piece that we just saw missing. Everything is held where it needs to be in alignment to each other, outside and inside fairing speaking, courtesy of a few wood screws and some electrical tape. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay zip ties lengthwise, long ways across the missing section first, tack them on either end, and then I'm going to go back and start weaving in between them just like I was making roving to like fiberglass, you know, just a nice in and out weave, just like it come off of a weaving mill. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I'm going to sit here and melt a whole bunch of plastic in there. It's going to take probably 3 layers of zip ties to build this up to the full thickness of the plastic, and I need to make sure that there is good bonding everywhere in the layers. When you're weaving them in and out of each other, it's really easy not to get your plastic all melted into one big piece. Don't leave cracks and stuff inside of there. That's going to cause you problems later. Simple enough, and I'm just going to keep building up layers here until I think it's flush. Then I'm going to sand it, and I'm going to fill all the little pimples and pockets and build it up some more until it is nice and flat and pretty and beautiful and ready for paint.
And since we are, after all, working with X's Chopper Blog to make this video possible, a shout out to Chopper Nation, Bagger Nation, the Navajo Nation, the Comanche Nation, Two Wheel Nation, all the other nations that he mentions in his blogs. I'm sure I missed a few. If I missed you, leave a comment below and I'll get you in the next video. How's that sound? And thank you to everyone who's made it this far along with me in this video here today. Okay, and it looks like up in the top left corner we have some missing audio from whatever Nick's talking about up there. I have no idea what he's trying to explain. You can just ignore him, I guess. And I just want to take a minute here to ask everyone for some feedback. Tell me what you think of the time-lapsing 4 videos next to each other thing. Let me know what you liked about this video, what you did not like. We're trying to grow and expand here, and I'm trying new ideas. I was trying to make this video shorter. I don't know if I had a good idea or a bad. So please, leave me some comments, leave me some feedback, like and subscribe, all that good stuff as usual. You know, we're a new channel, and we really appreciate anything that you're willing to give me as far as feedback and that kind of thing. And just thank you for watching, and I'm gonna just shut up for a while and let it play some music and enjoy. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm really trying to get to do bigger projects and bigger videos like this, and your help is really going to get us there. This one took me 3 months to do. Hopefully next time we'll do it in half the time, or a week like we used to. Who knows?
Picked our bones out from the heap, baked the skin off in the heat. La la la, la la la, la 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 la, la la la, la la la. Dogs are hanging from the trees. Tongues fall out between the teeth. I don't care about you or me, do they? La 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 la. Did you see their face? See their faces light up. I don't need no effigy, I just need the will to breathe. Soaking rags in gasoline. Ah la la, ah la la, ah la 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 la, ah la la, ah la la, ah la 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 la.
And that's about all I have for you guys with this video. I'm just going to lay down 3 coats of black, 3 coats of clear coat, and then I am going to use 2 products. First a scratch remover and then a glaze, and buff this thing until it looks like a real paint job.